Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyerboxingnews.com. Remember, the opinion you should listen to should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a congested stranger online. Let's try to follow the money in boxing. You know, I've long said here online that there is no money in boxing. Sure, some guys at the top, Vladimir Klitschko, Vitaly Klitschko, David Haye, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, a few guys are making big money. No question about it. Saul Alvarez. But really, for most fighters, they don't see any real payday until they win a title. Right? Understand the risk. Very few fighters are going to win titles in their careers. Right? By definition, in these sanctioning bodies, there's one champion. I guess these days you also have a super champion or a diamond champion, right? Let's say two guys with belts. Then you have 10 contenders, right? Not every contender is going to get a belt. Far from it, right? Some of these guys with belts are going to hold the belt for several years. Hasn't it seemed like Vladimir Klitschko has been heavyweight champ for quite some time? Right? You know, all I'm saying is some of these champs are long-time champs. Floyd Mayweather seems to have had a belt for an awfully long time. Right? Well, let me say this. Lara is about to fight Martirosyan again. Understand, this is an elimination match. The winner of this match becomes a mandatory for Saul Alvarez. So this is an exalted place in boxing, right? You win this match, you're lined up to fight one of boxing's better known champions, right? Very high profile. They had a purse bid for this. Now, it's interesting because this fight's a rematch. We know these two are competitive with each other. We know this is not a mismatch because the first fight ended in a draw. Right? So, the purse bid happens. The people involved in the purse bid. The promoter for Lara, Golden Boy Promotions. Huge name. The promoter for Martirosyan is Top Rank. Huge name. In other words, these are guys fighting for a key position in boxing. And of course, they're well connected. Their promoters are two of the biggest promoters in the entire sport. So, they have a purse bid. And understand, both fighters get paid out of the purse bid. And when I say both fighters get paid out of the purse bid, I'm talking about both fighters' camps. The fighters have to pay their ecosystems, right? Managers, trainers, sparring partners, right? Nutritionists, the whole 9 yards. Would you believe that Golden Boy won the bid with a bid of $410,000, right? Each fighter gets, depending on how they want to, split it, roughly $205,000 each. Not bad, not great. Here's the kicker, and it is a big kicker, right? Understand that Top Rank bid $62,500 for this fight. Right? Had Top Rank been the only bidder in the bidding war, and keep in mind there were only two, Top Rank and Golden Boy, each fighter would have been taking home about $31,000 each. $31,000. Now, boxing, you train for about 3 months for a fight, right? All I'm saying to you is the local postman going to work every day, after, let's say, 4, 5, 6 months, he can get to $31,000 without getting hit upside the head, without the risk of injury, without the risk of long-term injury, without the cuts, without the bruises, without having to come out of his pocket to pay a trainer, a cut man, sparring partners, nutritionists, etc. Right? And so my point to you is there really isn't much money in boxing. Understand that Lara is a televised fighter, right? As is Martirosyan, right? Lara has been on TV, on these pay channels, HBO, etc., multiple times. He's fought high-profile fights against guys like Paul Williams, Carlos Molina, Martirosyan, right? Understand that Martirosyan was on a Miguel Cotto undercard at Yankee Stadium, fighting before 20,000 people, right? These are guys who literally have been on TV, who are higher profile than, more than 90% of all boxers out there. And just understand that for their match, Top Rank's bid was $62,500 to be split by the both of them for a fight that was going to take at least 4 months of preparation, right? Let's shift gears. Another financial situation. Guillermo Jones against Denis Lebedev, right? Lebedev is a champion, right? A cruiser. Here it's interesting. Don King came in and won the bid. It's an interesting fight. Understand, both of these guys have been cruiserweight champion. Both of these guys have had interesting careers. This is a high-level championship fight. Now, you're accustomed to hearing, of, let's say, Vladimir Klitschko getting millions of dollars for a heavyweight title fight. Floyd Mayweather sometimes topping, $30, $40 million for, one of his fights. Manny Pacquiao getting a guarantee of $30 million, right? You would think that all guys have to do is show up at the ring with a title, right, with a distinguished career against a credible opponent. And keep in mind, you have all of that here, right? Felix the Cat, people who know who he is, Guillermo Jones is a very distinguished fighter. Denis Lebedev has been running roughshod through the division, right? You have a credible opponent, you have a credible champion, right? You have a real title. You have all of that here, right? And you have two guys into their 30s. These aren't young guys looking for their first big payday. These are seasoned guys. So you would think that these guys would get seasoned paychecks, right? Don King won the bid for this fight. Do you think either of these guys is getting $1 million for this fight? Do you think either of these guys is getting even $500,000 for this fight? I think it's questionable, because King won the bid, the purse bid, with a bid of $712,000. Right? That $712,000 has to be split between the two of them. Let's say Lebedev were to take $500,000. If he takes the lion's share, then that means Felix the Cat, Guillermo Jones, at the end of his career, is fighting for a title for about $212,000. Right? That's a far cry from the multi-million-dollar vision we have of these fighters. Let's talk about another fight. This one is really interesting because this one involves a lawsuit. In fact, not a lawsuit. In fact, it does involve a lawsuit. You have a fight that boxing purists have been drooling over. Nonito Donaire has been a dominant champion. There's no question about it. He has one of the sport's best left hooks. He's been a staple on HBO. He's delivered high-profile, exciting wins on HBO. In his last fight, he made Jorge Arce look as if Arce had been hit by a truck, right? Arce looked like he had been in a motor vehicle accident after the fight. Arce himself felt so beaten up that after the fight, Arce announced that that was it for his career, right? Literally, Jorge Arce beaten into retirement by Nonito Donaire. Well, of course, there's another fighter on the horizon, unbeaten fighter who many people, including yours truly, believe have a good chance of beating Nonito Donaire, and that's Guillermo Rigondeaux. So you're thinking, okay, great, Rigondeaux's been on TV, he's credible, he's an Olympic gold medalist, right? Nonito Donaire, he's proven box office, right? And he's delivered against big-time opponents. Top Rank steps in. Now, this is interesting. Top Rank offers Guillermo Rigondeaux $750,000. In other words, more than the entire purse bids for the Guillermo Jones-Denis Lebedev fight. Let's remember, King won that with a purse bid of $712,000, and much more than the purse bid for the Lara Martirosyan fight. Golden Boy won that with a purse bid of $410,000. Right here, Top Rank steps in. They want this to happen. They have a TV date. They have a legitimate champion who also delivers at the box office. Right? They go to Guillermo Rigondeaux in a fight that would give Rigondeaux credibility. And they say to him, we'll give you $750,000. Of course, Guillermo Rigondeaux also wants Top Rank to settle a lawsuit with his other promoter, Caribe Promotions. Why? Because when Guillermo Rigondeaux didn't have 2 dimes to rub together in his pocket, he signed with this Caribe Promotions. He feels beholden to them. When, of course, big world attention came and bigger opportunities came, Guillermo Rigondeaux, of course, then ends up with Top Rank, and there ensued a lawsuit between Caribe and Top Rank. Right? Top Rank's position is that the lawsuit is meaningless. Now, my point to you is simply this. Why can't Rigondeaux, since he's being offered $750,000, why can't he simply just turn around and say to his, promoter, hey, I'll tell you what, here, take $100,000 of this. If I beat Nonito Donaire, and let me just say, I've predicted online, I think Guillermo Rigondeaux does, if the fight ever happens, right? If I beat Nonito Donaire, this victory would be worth millions to me. Millions. Not only that, there might be a group of Nonito Donaire fans out there who don't know who I am, who might become my fans if I can beat a fighter they respect and admire. Right? Rather than do that, Rigondeaux might be overplaying his hands. Right? He instead has said to Top Rank, the 750 is nice, but I want you to settle this lawsuit with my promoter. Right? And keep in mind, Top Rank's the defendant in the lawsuit. They didn't bring it. Whole thing's ridiculous. My belief is that If Guillermo Rigondeaux were wealthier, we wouldn't be in this situation. Right now, Top Rank is looking at Vic Darchinyan as a possible replacement. The point is, this is a sport with a lot of promotional lawsuits. Everyone is trying to get a piece of the pie, right? The fighters themselves are lucky to clear $200,000 for even title fights. Keep in mind, the fighters I've mentioned are all fighters who've been on television. Most fighters never make it to TV, right? So, I'm a big fan of boxing. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy the sport. But I also try to keep it real here, online. And when I get emails from young people saying, hey, I'm thinking of going into boxing. You know, hey, I want to get wealthy in boxing. And when I see the imagery, guys showing up to press conferences and fights where you know the guy's only making $30,000 and the guy has on, you know, a fur coat or whatever, and he has a posse and an entourage of like 10 guys who are firmly convinced that, you know, this guy's going to be the next champion and that they're going to be rolling in millions of dollars, all I can say is, not so fast. You've had a lot of champions in the sport with major tax problems, right? Major financial problems. You've had many people in the sport, big-time champions, go bankrupt. You've had many contenders never quite get over the hump, right? And you have a lot of guys who, quite frankly, look back on those $30,000 paydays as the biggest paydays of their career, right? So, as you consider the financial situation in boxing, just remember the rematch of Lara versus Martirosyan was won by Golden Boy for $410,000. The second highest purse bid for the fight was $62,500. Just remember the Guillermo Jones-Denis Lebedev fight, and understand, as I said before, both of these guys have been champs, was won with a purse bid of $712,000. Not every fight, not even every title fight, has a purse bid over $1 million. In fact, quite frankly, those are rare. And just understand, the sport has so little money that Guillermo Rigondeaux, gold medalist, etc., has never made $1 million for a fight. Never. He's unbeaten. He's been on TV. He's been on some big cards, right? Has never made $1 million. When he was offered $750,000, he wanted a secondary stipulation, an addendum added, where there would be extra money coming to his promoter. All I could say is that's a tangled web, financially, in boxing that doesn't have a lot of money in it. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. With regard to Lara versus Martirosyan, just prediction-wise, I believe that Lara understands that Martirosyan, quite frankly, is more offensively gifted. And so, in my opinion, you know what? We'll address that fight in another video. Thanks for watching.